The following program is on the internet. If you can't handle vulgarity in the human body, you should probably tap out now. Now that all the serious shit is out of the way, we can start.
After walking away from internet radio, Dan Dice Narciso has decided to return to the interwebs. Not only is he bringing some familiar faces like the Sabals and two familiar voices like mine and Dustin Lucas's along, he knew that wasn't going to be enough. So he added some firepower by bringing in half of the Whiskey Brothers. Internationally toured stand-up comics Slade Ham and Sam Damaris. To round out this table of deviants, Dice added cosplayer and actress Victoria Page, as well as Leonard McCurdy, an international award-winning burlesque clown, radio personality and stand-up Kiki Maroon, as well as Brian B.C. Carrion was also added not just for the stories but also for his musical ability. This table of hosts will be joined by the models to be painted to fill the next 12 hours. You'll also hear Dustin Lucas checking in every hour to make sure the pressure stays on and nobody loses track of time. Broadcasting live in the middle of the strip and costing Dan a small fortune, VDO and FWTS bring to you Painted Vegas.
Painted Vegas and Brian B.C. Carrion start right now.
You know, you ended that last segment early. Yeah. We ended it.
It's stolen. It's stolen. You need, seriously, you need to buy the domain name now.
I'll put it back on the hour of the next one. Okay, cool. I'll be aware of it. You know, I mean,
right now.
When he asked, I go now. If we put that out on the internet, how much is it stolen? He goes, okay, it's stolen.
do that. The minute before I was done. Like, literally, we don't start at the same weekend. And it was
We've been dating about a month or two, and I know that this is nothing new, but lately these things have been getting to me, and I really don't know what to do. You see, she's so demanding, never understanding me. I'm just doing what I can, being cool, being a man, trying not to make her angry, but she stalks my Facebook and Instagram saying, why don't you tell me who this hoe be? Blowing up your page with these emojis. I'm like, that's just an old friend, she's a homie. But you don't know me, don't control me. She starts crying, I start laughing. I pick up her bags and started packing. I booted her out, she scooted back in and said, forgive me, baby, I'm just crazy, I forgot to mention I'm jealous, love. I don't wanna be, but baby, I am just jealous, love. Who just text you, let me see it. Oh, it's your mom? But you better not be keeping secrets. Jealous love. Ooh. If this blows over in a day or two, we get back into that groovy groove. Lovey-dovey just like lovers do. I couldn't do this with another boo, but you know how these things go. One day it's cold, the next who knows. We were whole Hollywood, now we're Sherman Oaks. Picture this, when she came to the show and I hit the stage, I see her standing next to some dude, tall, dark and handsome, holding hands with him. She starts spinning and I'm going frantic, cause now they're dancing and she's passing in front of him. Her ass is just touching him. I must be drunk, cause I'm mad as a motherfucker. I stop the music. That's where I lose it. I can't help it that I'm passionate. I never finished anger management. Next time I get to see in red, I promise I'ma count to 10. Jealous love. I don't wanna be, but baby, I'm so jealous, love. Who just text you, let me see it. Oh, it's your mom? You better not be keeping secrets. Jealous love. Ooh. Jealous love, yeah. Jealous love, yeah. This won't be a happy end. I hope we can still be friends. Well, you know, we were pretty good together. The sun don't shine forever. Now, baby, when it rains, yeah, honey, when it rains, it comes down a hurricane. It goes for days and days. So bring your umbrella for that jealous love. Ooh, I don't wanna be, but baby, I'm just jealous love. Ooh, will you text and let me see it? It's me. Ooh, you better not scuff up my sneakers. Jealous love. Oh, jealous love. Jealous love. This won't be a happy end. I hope we can still be friends.
Brian BC Carrion. Who is BC online? Just about everywhere. Whoisbc.com. You can also find him on Twitter. That's a fantastic place to interact, I think, with all of us. I, of course, at Slade Ham, your humble, somewhat host for a big part of this. At Sam Damaris, if you've been listening to all the familiar voices, some of them from the Whiskey Brothers podcast. You can also follow at Kiki Maroon, or all of us collectively at Praise Whiskey. You are on Twitter, Victoria?
I am.
Turn on the microphone, Victoria, otherwise it doesn't work.
Oh, I am at Victoria Page, and that's Paege.
Paege.
Correct.
Is that your actual last name?
It's European.
I think Victoria has finally, this is the first time she's made it this long in a radio show with me and has not gotten yelled at.
Well, if you're yelling at her, you're an asshole. She's fantastic.
Well, no, because like this is much better equipment than we used to use. So if you were, unless you were fucking eating the mic, like I feel blown out right now. Like I feel really blown out. Do I sound it in your ears, or is it just?
No, you do. You do right.
I'm distorted as fuck.
You're just loud.
It's bass, man. I can't help it. I do what I can. But like, she would talk 3 feet away from the mic, and then she would get near it and talk to the side of it.
Yeah, she just needed the right producer. I got this.
Well, but that's the thing. She's been beaten down and trained now.
Yeah, no, it's
That's what you say. I did one interview this year, and then other than that, I haven't been on a mic in a while.
We beat you right.
Radio is a totally different skill set. It's a learning mic control and all of those things. You forget, like, however long you were in it. I mean, I was in and out of radio since the mid-90s. Shit, I'm again dating myself. It's
a while ago.
I remember when Pearl Jam's second album came out. Like I was breaking there. God, I'm 1,000.
No.
But those muscles develop over so much time, and when you come in and you're just kind of doing it on a peripheral level, you're totally entitled to. That's someone else's job.
That's the thing. Most of us were all amateurs at the time, but
of course,
I did nightclub emceeing for 10 years, and it was this mic, so I knew how to manipulate everything on this one.
Put your hands together for this next.
No, it was all
$2 kamikazes for the next 40 minutes. $2 kamikazes. Go get your $2 kamikaze.
No, those are his stories. That's strip club. No, nightclub. It was all
strip club is a totally different. That's
what I'm saying. What you just did, that was
all right. No, but all right, guys, put your hands together for Cheyenne. It's Cheyenne on the main stage coming up. Mercedes. Yeah. Why do y'all all out? Yeah.
Don't be sad. Don't be blue. She'll be moving to stage number 2.
There you go. I mean, all my shit was just, let's get your tits out. Do a whipped cream bikini contest. Whipped cream doesn't stick to people in real life.
But you didn't say it like that. How did you say it? Like, give me the. We're all dancing. Everybody dance. Do your thing. All right, go.
No, I was eating a handful of ecstasy. I didn't have to do shit. I just told them tits were coming and they won.
That's what he thinks he was saying. He was really just the guy who goes,
No, actually,
He was just like, my hair feels so good right now.
everything's so
no,
beautiful.
but it was literally.
I can smell colors.
It was like doing radio that I would get off the stage and not have a clue of what the fuck I said.
Well, of course.
So,
not. That's-
I mean, you're in that zone. You're on point where you should be. You're not going, oh, I think I should hit this note. You know, I should hit this. I literally had
This what?
my buddy.
you're not looking out at the dance. We're like, I think I should hit that. I think I should hit that.
That's the main track. The speaking track is focused
He was
otherwise.
saying it,
but
just
like
doesn't
literally,
remember.
I'm doing a fucking venue one night, and I'm not realizing I'm saying the happy N word the whole time.
Wait, the happy N word?
Yeah, so it doesn't have the ER at the end. It's got the A. So
please.
it's not derogatory. It wasn't at anybody specific, and I'm just saying it because it's New York and that's how we speak. This is really killing the story too.
Now you
no,
gotta finish
no.
it.
One person look at me, damn it. I have issues. Thank
No
you.
shit.
Thank you, Victoria.
Let's break those down. I like to spend hour number 7 of of Painted Vegas
mutated
delving
podcast.
deep into Dice's psychology.
But I mean,
Show us on the doll. This is
right here a
Got
lot.
plenty of them.
But it was one of those things of, it was nothing. There was no venom behind the words. And of course, the concerned white friend runs up to me and goes, dude, you know what you're saying?
yeah. Hey man,
Do you
stop dropping
realize
the
what you're
N word in
saying?
the club.
You're gonna get us fucking killed. I go, why? He goes, you know what you're saying? You're dropping the N-bombs everywhere. I go, they're seeing white titties everywhere. They don't give a shit. Everybody in the club went, he's cool, man. Let him go.
Really?
Yes.
But it was a club full of white people.
No, it was
They're
completely
all
mixed.
white.
Because I would do everything on like the techno, the house floors and shit. So all the hip hop floors would go, oh, titties, and walk over there. And it would only piss off the big black women that lost all the brothers from the other side.
Because the brothers walked in the room, said, all white, all white, all white.
Oh shit, good callback.
All right.
Okay.
You know, my stories don't always have an end.
You know what I love about white girls? They keep getting older, and I still look the same age.
That's
So
the thing
true.
about those high school girls.
You guys look at me all fucked up. The black people love that shit. That killed in that corner.
I just started crying.
Here's the thing about those high school girls. They keep getting older. There he goes, I keep getting, wait, how's it go? He goes, I keep getting older, and
Saying the same
They
thing.
know.
they can fucking tell. They know.
Now, we started talking about this last night, and you said it would probably fill at least an hour, so why not? What's the deal with being called a specific Houston comic, like, or a New York comic? Like, back in the day, I can understand with Outlaw Comics, which was Kinnison and Huggins and all of them. Like,
Well, Hicks, Huggins, Pineapple,
Right.
Ron Schock, Riley Barber. There was,
but I mean, if you look at guys now, like you have the Kings of Comedy, Blue Collar.
I feel
Okay,
like,
but see,
That's more of a generalization of
But-
a theme.
well, and I feel like we've subcategorized it. The Whiskey Brothers has become more like a Houston institution, sort of. Like
Right.
we're endeavoring to follow in the footsteps of what the Outlaws laid down, but. I feel like that. Look, nobody goes, I'm from Des Moines, man. The Des Moines comedy scene is so fucking money, because like you can't name someone that came out of that scene. Thank you. There's a handful of cities, Boston being one of them. Chicago,
huge.
kind of. The Boston comedy scene was incredible, still is. But Leno came out of that scene. You look at Los Angeles, you look at New York, you look at. I think even Seattle's got a decent pedigree with guys like Hedberg coming out of there. But Houston had, for the longest time, such a fantastic track record of pumping out these amazing comics. Hicks was there. Kinnison, while he wasn't a Houston comic, he certainly played a major part in the scene.
and even right now,
Right, but like,
it's
just
okay.
hold on real quick, because even tagging off of what Slade just said, they weren't the Houston comics. They had branded themselves differently.
But it
just seems like old school
You
pro
knew.
wrestling where you have
You
your
knew.
territory.
The fact that Houston comedy was a thing is
I know because the Houston comics I listen to now on the radio.
but it's a lot of people do.
People know.
It's got a really good reputation for being a factory that pumped out.
Right.
Because it's
And
more than just
Kinnison
the
and
Outlaws.
Hicks
You
weren't
had
from Houston, but they branded themselves as Houston comics.
But it's even deeper than that. You had, Janine Garofalo, Brett Butler.
Not from.
Well, it's
not
where,
from.
where, but
Buffalo,
it's where,
Houston.
where you came
No,
up,
not
not
from
where
Houston,
you're from.
but branded herself as. She
I'm
cut
not
her teeth there.
from Houston. Like, I was not born in Houston, but if people ask me where I'm from Houston.
Matthew Broussard.
Right. Did you start your industry in Houston?
Yes.
Or yeah? See, that's Like a lot of Boston comics are like that, where they might start basics in Boston and then go to New York and claim New York comedy.
Finish your thought, because I know what you're about to say.
But Kennison Hicks, Garofalo, Brett Butler, not from Houston, branding themselves as Houston comics. I mean,
Ralphie May's another one.
That's where I was going next. Ralphie May, Greg Warren as well.
Matthew Broussard even said in this last interview, he was like, "I'm from Atlanta. I started
Where
comedy
did you
in
get your
Houston."
chops?
That's where, because you have this scene that is it's this factory of open mics and a mentality of brutality even towards comics. It's when we started at the Laugh Stop, and the old Laugh Stop, this legendary building that is now some douchey wine and beer bar, craft beer bar. It's you look at a scene like that. Ask yourself why Bill Hicks, Joe Rogan, Doug Stanhope, Joe Rogan, Dane Cook. I mean, you look at these massive comics that all chose to record in this incredibly comic-friendly club. They were open to wild ideas and creativity.
And on top of that, the Laugh Stop ran shows Thursday to Sunday. Our open mic at the Laugh Stop was Monday nights.
Yes.
These motherfuckers would ask to get booked and fly out on Tuesday. I mean, when I was cutting my teeth, Lewis Black, Joe Rogan, Doug Stanhope,
I followed Attell at that open mic.
They've come up to me,
So jealous.
Hedberg, Attell,
Mm-hmm.
they've come up to me and been like, wow, you know what, you should really keep at it and this, that, and the other. And they tell you things like, hey, you're working on this. Dude, don't go up with a piece of paper in your hand. Just read that shit like you fucking, and it was that conducive of an environment. But the other thing is, what you're saying, like the Houston comic, the Boston comic,
like I say, it feels like old pro wrestling. Like you need to say this is where you're from every time.
it's not. I would liken it more to like when I say like some of those guys like Hicks and Kennison weren't from Houston, but they branded themselves as Houston comics. I would liken it more to as a martial arts tournament. You represent your dojo.
Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like
Where did you
college.
train?
Like people
Yes.
care about their college football
Say-
team for the
well,
rest of their life.
this
is where I
NFL
learned.
players.
Where I learned.
Yeah.
NFL players,
did you
when
train?
when you sit down and when you talk to an NFL, when they do the deal with the NFL players, and here's the defensive line, and they always the Ohio State. You're talking about where you came up and where you learned and what you're doing.
What made me?
Yeah, what turned me into this person? And Houston happened to turn a ton of people into absolutely amazing comics, and we still do. I think we still hold a lot of that to the same standard.
I'm so jealous of all of those things that you
Well,
guys
like
talk
me.
about. So jealous. And so grateful that I got that. I got 1 year in.
Yeah.
1 year in over at Sherlock's. And I'm so grateful because when I'm talking to people that are like, oh, I always hear about it, I was like, oh, God.
It was amazing.
Oh,
The
so
first
good.
night, Kiki,
Because the building was magic.
the first
It
night
really was.
Kiki, when I went up right after you at an open mic, and you were in your burlesque, like
That was my first in full costume open mic.
So big red tutu with frills and things, and the
The picture that's on like everything.
No. This
The wrong-
was years and years
this is-
ago. At just hitting an open mic, I was like, oh, I could do this.
and incredibly colorful and vivacious. And I remember walking up right afterwards, and I went, Kiki Maroon looks like exactly what I think the inside of a woman's head looks like. It was so, because you did, and we didn't know each other at the time.
Yeah.
Really, it was. It's very cool now to watch the way people have developed, and I like to think that Houston has that ability to pull that out of people. You're surrounded by how many comedy scenes, and Sam will be a better person to answer this in a second, but how many comedy scenes can really say that they have an open mic that had 60 comics there, that we didn't get to everybody. We started at 6, we finished at 2.
I love the way that was run. By the way, now there's a lot of everybody gets a trophy.
It was run the exact same. It was run the exact same way the last time was run. It was 60 guys. 2 a.m. would hit. If you didn't make it on, it was cool. You just come back next week.
Yeah.
When you walk in, you didn't have to put your name in the bucket. You walked up, you picked whatever spot you wanted.
Hey, I didn't get here last week. Take care of
Even
me.
if they made it through all of them, the bottom 5 people, the people who went on last, who were the last 5, they got to walk in and pick their spot. Now, if you pulled the last 5 and then you walked and didn't go up, they scratched a line through your fucking name.
And you didn't go back up.
You were like, I was last 5. Yeah,
Nope.
no, you weren't last 5. You didn't fucking go up.
Okay,
You
I need
walked.
to ask you guys something
Okay.
because this was happening all the time, but I didn't talk to enough people to know what was going on. But where did it come from when whenever John would announce someone and be like, he would say whoever's next, and everybody go, here we go, Johnny, here we go. Do you remember that?
You know where that came from? That came
and it became a thing where every fucking comic that went up.
That came from Theodore Amy Taylor and Keith Manning. That was they started that. They started that. They would either do "Here we go, Johnny,"
just all
here we
the
go,
time,
or
and so whenever someone was introduced, it was fantastic.
It was when they were introduced, they would do that, and then at the beginning when they did the bucket draw, they would be like, they go in the bucket, they go Slade Ham, and they'd be back, they go Slade, Sam Damaris, Sam, Kiki Maru, Kiki. It was just a thing that just started.
But that's what I love, that there was all those things.
You know,
I didn't even know any of you guys, but I was like, "There's a thing we're doing, yay!"
Well, there was a. I used to. This is. No. Go ahead. Tell your story, and then I'll say what I was
thought you
going
were
to say.
going the same place I was going.
Maybe.
Okay. This is the old last stop before you started. We had a dude there named Larry Simon. Larry Simon was a bad comic.
The worst.
And from the day I started,
you're about to give an example of his material, because
I'm doing it.
Okay, go.
The day I started, May 5th, 2001, till the day he quit, which is probably 2010, he never changed one word.
Not a line.
Of his set.
Not a line.
One word.
Not a line.
He started out, and his beginning was, so I just started my new job at Victoria's Secret. And I'm learning a lot. Like, this is 34C, this is a double D, and this gets you fired. And he did it the exact same way for so
single
long
night.
that Danny Rios, Craig Bischoff, and I, through his whole set, we started doing this where he would go up and we'd be like, I just started my new job, and we'd be back, we go, where? At Victoria's Secret. No shit. And I'm learning quite a lot.
Like what?
Like, this is 34C. Yeah. Double D. Yeah. And this gets you fired. Oh, snap. and the old last stop open mic. Because,
oh my god!
Because
so I'm fucking this apple. And then I was like, Apple, turn over.
What made the Laugh Stop open mic beautiful was the guy who booked the Laugh Stop sat in the back corner.
Mark Babbitt.
And he watched you.
it.
And if you wanted to work the Laugh Stop, there was no way in crushing that open mic.
I used to drive. It was one of the most disconcerting moments in my entire career. I would drive 70 miles. It was an hour and 15 minutes from my driveway to the Laugh Stop, and I would drive every Monday night. Every Monday, I would get there at 6 because I was a nobody. It was my first year. Pull my name in the bucket, wait and see when my time slot was. More often than not, I was, especially early on, I was going up at 1 o'clock in the morning. So you're driving to Houston. 6 o'clock, you're putting your name in the bucket. 7 o'clock, you're getting to find out you're going up at 1 something. And I would go hang out at Sherlock's across the street when Jody Fertig was bartending. All these little pop back in.
25-cent Wells?
Yes, and hang back out with the comics, and be finally getting into the back room where it was kind of acceptable. And I remember the way I got into the back room, there was a comic by the name of Corey Bailey, who, rest in peace. He had this joke, and I didn't know he was doing the joke, and it was kind of at the time, a joke. It was sort of hack, like a bunch of people were doing. It was about getting a ticket via a red light camera. And he's like, I got a ticket via the camera, so I just, they mailed me a picture of me running the light, so I mailed them a picture of the check. Then the cop mailed me a picture of some handcuffs.
I've heard this.
Everybody's
many
heard it.
times.
So I didn't know he did a variation of that joke, and I'm talking to Mike McRae and a handful of other comics, and I'm like, man, I hate when guys do this hack shit. It was Corey Bailey was part of the group we're talking in, and I was like, some people do that fucking joke about the internet getting the ticket via the camera, and I'm just rattling off about it right in front of Corey. And I'm like, and I just hate that hack shit. And I sort of walk off, and anyway, I come walking back into the back room, and I get this partial standing O from the comics hanging out.
Shut
and they're like,
up.
man, you can hang out back here for a minute.
When you were a kid,
you were embraced, and it was such a cool moment for me.
When you were a kid, it was the invitation. It was Johnny Carson inviting you to the couch. It was the invitation to the table. Rob Mungle was part of it because Rob Mungle was doing comedy for 30 years. And we can both tell you, when we started out, we wanted to be Rob Mungle.
He was part of the motivating for me. That was the comic I wanted to be.
He was completely fearless. He could get away with anything. And I mean,
back when he was doing the cock of Christ bit.
Well, now is that like Because I walked out for a second. Is that comparable to like the Comedy Cellar's table, like where that's the place where you want to be?
So the back room at the last stop was that all the comics were back there, but all the veterans had this one row that they could sit in. And if you came up there as a newbie, they just kind of snubbed you or whatever. But then at one point, there was just that time where they were like, "Hey, come over here, sit down," and you were just like, "What the fuck?
What now?" One of us, but you can sit down for a minute.
So and I don't know if you ever known the story. This is Rob Mungall's greatest moment, and I won't talk about it.
I don't know the story.
She's like, you don't have any moments.
I won't talk about it in front of him because he'll cry at the fact that he lost his bid and it doesn't work anymore.
How I Met Your Mother bit?
2001.
No, what?
September 11th, 2001 was on a Tuesday, okay? The following Monday at our open mic, we get there. Mark Babbitt, the runner, comes up and says, do not do anything about 9/11. It is off limits. I know you think you've got a funny perspective on it. I will not allow it. Do not. If you do it, you're banned from this club.
Much respect to him.
Everybody is scratching off 9/11 jokes. About 10 p.m., Rob Mungall walks out on stage and said, right now, George W. Bush has, and I got it verbatim, it's the most beautiful moment I've ever seen a comic have in my life. He said, right now, George Bush has a 92% approval rating. 92%, the highest of any president in history. He goes, I can make it 100. He goes, I'm going to write him a speech. He's going to deliver it. He's going to walk out on the White House lawn, standing next to a thermonuclear intercontinental ballistic missile. And he's just going to, he goes, you broadcast it on the news. He goes, you don't broadcast it over here. You broadcast it on that Al Jazeera or whatever that CNN for ragheads is. And he goes, and it's just him just going, good morning, Islamabad. How the fuck you people doing? I know me. I'm President George W. Bush. And what I've got here is a 70-foot tall thermonuclear, and he would say nuclear, intercontinental ballistic missile. Now, this son of a bitch will travel from Montana, where it's located, to Six Flags over Iraq in about 8.5 fucking minutes. It's truly spectacular. Right? On top of this, we got 10 warheads. We call each one of them the Nagasaki times 10. And you saw we to those son of a bitches, we've made great improvements. He goes, now, if you guys don't start shutting the fuck up, we gonna get shitty with these son of a bitches. Because guess what? This ain't the only goddamn one. No, we got a shitload of them. And then he was like, this thing is so powerful, we've nicknamed it the cock of Christ. Oh. Place goes ape shit. I mean, and he's getting out words after this. You can't even hear it. People are standing up, yelling shit, and he's
crushing.
Like, I'll press the fucking button right now. I don't give a fuck. I'll press it. What? And he goes, like he's walking by. He goes, yeah, exactly. And when you get killed, and when he goes, when you get fucked by the cock of Christ, it will fill your asshole with glorious American sunshine for about 8.5 fucking weeks. I believe that's the half-life of the one true God, is it not?
You could. It was the football spike of. Yeah.
The buildings are still smoking.
Yes.
The buildings are still smoking. And he fucking
day. It was yes.
So
it's
I want to tell you, Rob Mungall was fucking fearless. That motherfucker walked out and dropped that shit. Insanity.
That's the kind of room the stop was. You knew on any given night, 60 comics at the time. 20 of them working pros, guys that are now doing shit. I mean, it was amazing. And watching that sort of thing happen, I think the tail end of one of my favorite, and Sam could probably tell this story better than I can, when the new Laugh Stop opened up, but the backroom mentality still maintained.
It did.
A lot of the pros were gone. Everything still happened out in the bar area on a smaller stage. And Sam and I were holding court at this table. We were far and away the pros, and Ed Blake was there, a handful of others. And as I walk in, there's this girl, this clearly a stripper, sitting at the table. Look, he just vibrated. She's sitting at the table, and as I sit down, and you could, I don't know why, but for some reason, some people get in arguments with me. Look, stop making the
don't
face.
know why.
I don't
You
know.
don't know why.
What did I do? Say, all right, go.
No, you didn't do anything.
No, I don't believe
you
that.
said, you said I was going to be able to describe this better. The English language does not have words to describe the shit pouring out of this bitch's dumb head. I mean, out of this world. Star Wars is an oppressive film to women because a woman's egg represents an orb, and that's what the Death Star was, and they destroyed it. And it's in R2-D2, the fact that he had a proboscis that could come out and hit the Death Star and make it do whatever he wanted was men's oppressive way of saying that they manipulate women.
Okay, and that's all I said, and that's where this started.
She thinks this. Google when crazy people watch Star Wars. I uploaded the bitch. I don't think I ever took it down.
Oh my God, we're gonna have to find this. So anyway, I basically went, what the fuck? And she starts off on this. What do you know about comedy? And I had a moment where the girl was she was crammed so awkwardly into this pair of whatever she was wearing. You could just see her vagina was just there, like not like on purpose. Like look at it was just accident, like a kid you sent to its room and wanted to keep coming back. Can I come back out now? You're like, no, we're having a party, and that was her labia. It would just slip out. I said that for you, Kiki. It was this weird. So anyway,
out of her skirt or tight pants.
They
or
were
what is,
like ripped
like
jeans,
leggings?
but awkwardly ripped where they
Got
should
it.
not be ripped. And she wasn't wearing. She's wearing flip flops, and her toes just looked like she kicked gravel as a side job.
Walked on hot coals at a Tony Robbins event.
It just like a T-Rex eating wieners. Like it was just weird. And
Shannon.
What?
Shannon.
Was that her name?
Crazy Shannon, yes.
Oh, perfect. So she is going off on that, and she looks at me because I'm going, what the fuck, you crazy bitch? And she goes, what do you know about comedy? She goes, are you going up tonight? And I, instead of going, I've been doing comedy for my entire adult life, I looked up and I go, no, but I came out here in the hopes that I might be moved to do comedy. I want to go up, but I'm too afraid. And she proceeds to, if you're not even a real comic, what are you doing back here? You shouldn't be back here. This is not
Keep in mind, this is her first time
Get
on
away
stage.
from the fucking table. Blah, blah, blah. And
wow.
I tried to be a decent human being about it. I know I said some really, really hateful things. And then I look at Sam and I go, fuck, now I got to write a first-timer stand-up set. I can't go do what I was going to do, which is going to kill. I go, I have to write the worst. I'm going to go up there and intentionally try to suck. So I'm writing
I can write
dumb
that for you.
I tried. I'm writing joke. I'm just scribbling all these down. The only one I was like, blank CDs suck. Especially on road trips. Like, it was just shit that I thought was so dumb, no one would laugh at it. He kills!
You just killed in this room.
But the worse I try to do, the more the crowd is erupting.
Especially because comics are there and we know what's going on.
So you guys are laughing, which is encouraging all the laughing.
Yes! And it's the worse I try to do, the louder they get. And I mean, it was one of those sets. And I walk off stage and she's like, her jaw is just hanging down. And I'm like, is it always this easy?
Oh my God.
And then watching that beat up ragdoll try and go up there and tell jokes was just.
Yeah, she was fucked up. But,
Surprised that's a good
that's what I was
story
gonna
to
say,
you
though,
and not like crushing your heart that shit worked.
You know, a little bit. I wish I had the notebook that I wrote all that in. I'm sure I do somewhere.
Probably.
Because they were. Oh, it was atrocious.
But back to the what I was my point of when I brought up the Larry Simon thing. The beauty of the last up was the Mark Babbitt, the guy who booked the place. He sat in the back and watched it. We got dressed up for that thing, and when you came to it, the way Rudyard is now, where people just come up and they'll get drunk and they don't give a fuck.
Yeah.
No.
Every fucking set mattered. You don't get paid for comedy.
That's what I was gonna.
Unless you crush.
The most
here,
heartbreaking.
right?
The most heartbreaking moment was after all those years of all those months and months and months of driving out every Monday night, hour and a half here, hour and a half back, and I went up and I went. He pulls me to the side after one of my sets, and you're like, "This is the moment. This is the moment." Mark Babbitt pulling me, like eschewing the comic on stage to talk to me, and he pulls me in the hallway and he goes, "Man, that was something else. And I go, hi, yeah. He's like, still living in Beaumont? I was like, yeah, dude, hour and 15 minutes here, man. I could be here at the drop of a hat. And he pats me on the shoulder. He goes, unfortunately, I'm really just focused on my Houston guys right now. And he sat back down and went back to watching the show. And I almost, like, I could have hung myself in the bathroom. It was the most demoralizing.
Is that when you moved to Houston?
No, that was, it was in my first year. I didn't move to Houston until like 2007.
wow.
Yeah, Babbitt was long gone.
It was it was a very disheartening, and you don't stop at that point. You're like, I still at this time was friends with all the comics.
No, what it does is it pisses you off. You kick your career into high gear.
Yep.
But so the thing about that, because the open mic was so fierce, and that Laugh Stop was such a big room that I mean, Attell and Rogan and guys are there. I mean, Dave Chappelle did it twice a year sometimes. The people, it was a free show at the Laugh Stop. So we had some of the regulars that were open mic regulars. You saw them every Monday. They never did comedy, but the drinks were cheap.
Yeah.
The ticket was free. The comedy was fucking solid. 60 guys throwing heat.
Yeah.
So when Larry Simon would go up and do his set, when me and Danny Rios and Craig Bischoff started that, the regulars got it.
So it became a
So it became a thing. Like, you know, when they said the
Yeah.
bucket thing or whatever, Larry would go up, and when he would go up, the regulars, like if they were outside smoking or anything, they'd all
come in to be part of it.
because it was
Yeah.
audience participation time. I just started my new job. Where? At Victoria's Secret. Really?
And that's what I think is.
I might have seen that. I don't know.
But I miss that so desperate because when I do pop out to the open mics now, it's just a disjointed kind of scene. Everybody's there for themselves.
You were talking about like open mic regulars. Danny Rios is the first one that took me to open mic. He had hosted our first burlesque show.
Show me where he touched you.
Love Danny. He hosted it, and he's
Right
like,
here.
"Yeah, I did this thing," and we were like, "I mean, he was really nice. He did our thing. We should go support him, I guess." Okay, so like a group of us went, and it was the best time that I had ever had. And I swear to God, I went every Sunday and Monday with people or by myself a lot for like a year. And Westling started coming up to me and was like, "You want to go up?" And I was like, no, I just love coming. He goes, "You've heard the same jokes every week.
You ain't here to.
for
You're not here to
months and
watch them."
months. You want to go up?" And I was like, "No, I just love coming," because I really did love going. And it took me like a year
To come to
before I was
terms with?
like, "Oh, I want to do this." But John was so as dicky as he can be to new people, because there is that whole like know your place. He was also so fucking supportive to people.
Well,
how else was he
About
going
it,
to have
if
that
you were
class?
serious about it, if you wanted to learn or whatever, yes. We are like that to guys who are serious about it and want to learn.
That's why
But
I'm
when
here.
you walk in, you've got one good joke, and you go, "Hey man, that thing you're doing, if you tried that or whatever, hey man, don't tell me what to do." All right, straight fuck you.
Yeah.
Here's my calendar. Here's where I get paid. You enjoy your 5 minutes and your $20 bar tab every week. Come to me when you want to fucking be serious. Don't. I got no love for that. I wished some of the guys would have helped me the way we sometimes offer to these guys, but yeah, the old Last Stop open mic, there was a lot of, because once the Larry Simon thing kicked in, there was a lot of crowd participation moments. The thing that I do sometimes at the Whiskey Brothers shows.
Yeah. So Rob does it.
Craig, Danny, and I all had these. I like my women how I like my blah 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 jokes.
How's
and
that?
the crowd knew I like my. Craig's was I like my women. The way I like my coffee. How's that? Slutty.
Johnny, that whole, which we've done as the opening the Whiskey Brothers shows. Johnny had that bit. It was an old, and it became the toast. But the way his dad, the toast at his wedding, his dad goes tang tang. He goes, "I like my women like I like my scotch. 12 years old and mixed up with Coke."
And then I would
One of my
always follow it
favorites.
with, "I like my women the way I like my chocolate." And they go, "How's that?" And I go, "White."
But that interaction, and it's a, we try and do it. Rob Mungle does a bit about the dildos being what's the conversation?
It's illegal to sell strap-on dildo in Texas.
Which means that someone on the Senate floor had to use the phrase "strap-on dildo"
As soon as he
in
starts
a conversation.
Slade and I run the opposite ends of the room.
Two different corners.
And we become the Senate.
Rob's up there. He always do it. I do believe that
the women of our fair state for too long have been penetrated by artificial peanut. That's why I propose in Bill number 69, yes, that's what we called it, to ban the sale of strap-on dildos. And then right there, out of nowhere,
now you might
Slayer
say, he
pop
goes,
up on-
now, because he goes, now you might say, what constitutes a strap-on dildo? Should someone put a piece of cucumber and some leather strapping? Now is that a strap-on dildo? And instantly from the wings is
Slade will just pop up. And no, he goes, if they put a cucumber and a piece of leather strapping, is that a strap-on dildo? He goes, that is a slippery slope
covered in KY jelly
that I do not wish to go down. And then Slayer will just pop up. Mr. Senator, go ahead. Do it.
Senator. Now what about a carrot?
A carrot? Hell no, not a carrot. I mean, who the hell would want to strap on with a carrot? And then the complete opposite side of the room. Mr. Senator, and then what did he say? He makes some sort of black joke.
I wish I could remember.
And then,
I like how we start stories we don't know how they end. I feel like dice.
And then, that last week.
Oh no!
Broke that
No need
mic
for the
stand.
violence.
We have
Dropping the mic.
extras.
He
No, just pop.
We all got extra shit. It's in the other bag.
I miss that. I don't know another era of comedy to really associate it with. Other than that, it was a very important part of ours that the comics were interactive and it wasn't a. You used to comics now. I feel like they sit back and they want other comics to die on stage so that they look better. That you can do a
It's a
half-ass
very
job.
too cool for the room mentality.
Well,
I'll tell you.
You want other people to fail so that you look better in comparison. And I miss that era when we used to be not just supportive but
We're all
interactive
friends.
and in a way of if we can help each other in a cool, fun way that's improvisational. I dig that.
The old Last Stop days, we were all friends. We hung out outside of the Last Stop. I mean,
Yeah.
when you started doing comedy, you became a Last Stop comic. Say goodbye to your other friends. They're gone. and every weekend, like we were saying, you watch the people who came before you. Every weekend, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, you could walk in. All comics got in free. And when you walked in the outside bar, there were at least 7 or 8 of us
Always.
hanging out there. And that was the other thing when we said comedy-friendly environment. It didn't matter if the dude on stage had $1 million in the bank. When he came off, he signed shit, he shook hands, he took pictures. Then he came to the bar and was just like, all right, who am I meeting tonight? Like, you know what I mean, Ron White lived behind the fucking building. And whenever anybody called out, if anybody like, hey man, I got something at Comedy Central, whatever,
He was the fill-in.
they literally just went and knocked on the fucking door, and Ron White came over and did the fucking week. And he sat out, and when Ron came, the bar closes at 2. We drank till 4, and we literally just sat there. You could smoke indoors. It got so smoky you could hardly see the person across
Yeah.
the street. But we sat there and we drank with Ron White
But
all night.
And you had
He has a private jet now.
you had nights that we distinctly remember, and the Rob Mungle story is a famous one, but we'd all be in the back room and it was Joe Rogan and Joey Diaz and these guys it's just this it was such an open, cool environment to be part of, and now it's this we were so self-policing. That's what I love now. These guys now, you can't say anything to anybody because they'll get their feelings hurt. This is safe space for fucking
safe space.
get out of it.
But my point of all being friends, we all hung out there. A lot of that interactivity became because we were all friends and we wrote a lot of shit together. And the room, like when you said you started at Sherlock's, because of that, the room was magical and it bred creativity. And the single greatest thing I ever saw on a Last Stop stage, Bob Biggerstaff was featuring. Sean Rouse had moved out to Los Angeles. He was featuring for this guy, Sean Rouse. Sean Rouse has rheumatoid arthritis. Was supposed to, could hardly move, could hardly walk. The Last Stop green room was in the office upstairs. Sean's rheumatoid hit him so bad, it hurt him to walk and hurt him to move. And Bob was like, you know what, man? We'll have the whole stretch. I can close the show and this, that, and the other. And Sean was like hell. He walks into the office. He grabs a Sharpie. He draws a line here and a line here.
Brilliant.
And he goes, Bob, follow my lead. Bob's a big, hefty dude. Sean's like this big around. Sean can't move. Bob picks him up, carries him on stage, sits him down, puts his hand on his back, and the lines make Sean look like a ventriloquist dummy. So Sean can now do his shit without having to move. Bob asked a question, and Sean would launch into his jokes, and it was killing so well that in the middle of it, Sean flipped it on Bob and just dropped his act. So Bob asked something about whatever, and Sean, he had this thing, he had steel blue eyes, face. So he looked like a fucking puppet. And then he just dropped the act and just turned around and was like, "You're a fat piece of shit." And the next 20 minutes was Bob playing the string band and Sean just verbally assaulting him. and people thought it was a gimmick that they had made up, but it was literally Sean could not move. And so he came up with this idea.
Because I've seen all these videos and heard all the stories, and I did not know that's where that came
Oh,
from.
yeah.
Like I said, it's treated as now like a gimmick, a thing that they kind of play with.
Oh, yeah, but it worked so well that they just kept doing it.
That made my heart so happy.
Yes, he could not move. And Bob, they told the host, go back up, burn 5. And he'd do 5 minutes. And in that time, Bob brought Sean down, and then he'd look over and he'd go, wrap it up. And the guy finished the joke, and he'd just walk up. Sit there, and it just
pure improvisational.
But
brilliance.
that's what that fucking room did.
So
That's what that room did.
I remember when you'll remember this story well, and I won't use his name. There was we pride ourselves in Houston. It's one man, one microphone. The occasional gimmick like what Bob and Sean did because it was brilliant and necessary. But for the most part, you don't see, there's not a lot, there are no ventriloquists out of Houston. There's no fucking puppet acts. There's no prop comics. You just don't see that. The occasional guy with a guitar. But other than that, we're very purist in our tell your jokes, don't rely on gimmicky shit to get you through. No musical clothes, none of this shit. So this one particular comic, I won't give him a name. He was closing, we heard rumors that he was closing his show by taking off these tearaway stripper pants and playing the Superman theme song, and he had on Superman underoos under his pants.
He's 40.
Yes, I was a grown-ass 40-year-old man.
Normal.
In Superman underoos, and finding himself standing on stage. He'd have a girl come up and, look, it's an asteroid, and she'd jump into his arms, and he'd have on the Superman underoos, and here's a grown man wearing Superman underoos while the theme song plays. And we hear rumors of this, and we go, well, we gotta go and see this happen and have a talk with him after the show.
We said, you're lying. Our boy would never fucking do that.
Exactly. There's not a Houston comic that would do this.
There's no fucking way. You're full of shit. He's not doing it. We show up, Slay down in the back of the room.
Dun, 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 or whatever. That's what I'm doing, Indiana Jones. Whatever.
He mouth on the floor.
Rips his pants off. They go into a pile behind him, and Sam and I and we maneuver our way over to the side of the stage, and we look at each other, and Sam walks right up while this comic he's moved back up now, standing there in his underoos, talking to the crowd, and Sam goes right up, grabs his stripper pants, walks right off stage with him. And that dude had to come off and sell merchandise and talk to the crowd for the next 10 or 20 minutes while they're all hanging out and shaking hands and taking pictures in his fucking underwear. 40-year-old, thick leg, pale white, just, ugh.
And I looked at Slade and I said, this motherfucker ain't getting these pants back till we sit down and have a chat.
Oh my God.
It's such a, but that's you have to hold yourselves accountable like that. If someone's pulling some bullshit, they're out there representing Houston, Texas as a stand-up comic. And you don't want to be lumped in with, oh yeah, you guys are the ones who take your pants off.
Well, some of us do.
I mean, yeah, you're like, we do, but not just as a closer. It's for fun.
Yeah, if there was something written about it, if there was something written about it, and it just
I can't give me an example.
I can't. I'm trying to think of it.
Any comic you've seen, from Angel Salazar to Steve Hurst, one of those guys who takes their pants off.
But it's a music cue and breakaway pants, and it's look at the dancing monkey.
It is.
It's your brain power and your creativity.
It's a parlor trick.
Added nothing to that. You might as well put a banana peel on it, slip, and bust your ass and say thank you, good night.
See, this is like the sexist like hypocrisy. Because the first time I went up, the time you're talking about, I was all dressed up and I was like, I'm gonna tell jokes. John came up to me
we wanted to see you with no
and was
pants.
like, I recorded your whole set and you didn't take your clothes off. And I go, you told me to tell jokes. We all thought you were taking your top off.
Well, there's the
God damn it.
there is the private integrity
Wanted
that
to
we
use my
maintain as Houston comics, and then there's the man. We still want to see some titties. Like
We'll laugh. I promise we'll laugh.
If you did it, it would still be hack. And after the fourth or fifth time when we've
It was still
mentally
hack. They were
logged
all
those
jokes
titties
about me working at
in,
churches,
we will
which
tell
was-
you it's hack.
yeah, and if I promise you, if you were a 40-year-old dude, Johnny doesn't walk up to 40-year-old dudes and go, "Hey, I thought you could take your top off." It's a
Just saying. I was really excited about using my words.
and that's the exact opposite. You're someone who's taken her clothes off professionally, like burlesque-wise, for a while, who wants to use her words. We're talking about someone who used their words for 10 years and was like, "Fuck it, I want to
It's
show
just
them my
easier.
ass."
Yeah.
That's backwards.
Hey,
My words aren't doing it.
That's
I gotta
de-evolution.
show 'em
Hey, Dice. One, told you that was going to go a long way.
I know.
Two, we have some fresh faces here. Should we?
Yeah,
should we
let's introduce them. We got
ourselves?
some
We
new
do. We got
girls
some
in the
time to
room.
kill in this hour.
Well, we got to move mics and stuff like that. So maybe when we do musical break, we can set them up with a bunch of mics.
Yeah. We got one in front of her.
Got a couple in here.
Wasn't there? Three? Okay, yeah.
Let's get to let's tell me your
Hi, I'm Marie.
You're Marie.
Yes.
Turn it on.
Talk. I think it's on.
And we
Just-
got Tony's mic is free
He's
too.
got to turn it up.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Come
You
come
didn't
over
even
here
notice
for
he
a minute.
disappeared.
Yeah, I did. It's exiled Filipinos.
I'm missing the laugh.
Yeah. Just as loud as he always was.
But if you ever notice though, throughout the show, he laughs at the worst shit. Like, oh, kid got ran over, died. That's when I laugh.
That's
not
all.
anything actually funny.
That's not fun. All right. Anyway, Marie,
Marie, yes.
you were so
Marie, into
you're
the
gonna.
hole.
I'm a model here tonight.
Into the hole.
Are you just pull it? Yeah, right there.
Sorry.
Are you from Las Vegas?
Yeah, well, basically I've lived my whole life. I'm from Albuquerque, New Mexico.
Oh, nice.
What are you ethnically?
I love this question.
A
This is
treasure
everyone's
trove.
first or second question. I'm Mexican American or
Oh, really?
native.
The eye makeup made me think Asian.
Now, see, a lot of girls are rocking the cat eyes, but I've been rocking this look for a little while.
Get it, girl.
And you know what? She is Mexican American, and those are real
This is
eyebrows.
that chola. You know what I'm saying? The big
Great.
earrings. This
Right?
one's right at home.
These colors don't run.
That was a great one.
That's perfect. Like you're like fuck Sharpies. I
And
was
you
just,
are, my lady?
I'm Dallas Lazarus.
Hi,
Dallas what?
Lazarus.
Oh my God! I am Dallas Lazarus, and I will have my vengeance in this life or the next.
I've literally been saying her name wrong
Oh
since
my
she
God!
signed up.
Are you too young to catch the gladiator reference?
No, I've been saying your first name right. I thought it was Lazarus the whole time.
You can say Lazarus. I actually like Lazarus.
It sounded way more fucking stage name epicness.
I like Dallas Lazarus. That sounds like
sounds like the scientific name for an awesome lizard.
No, it sounds like a really fancy car that J.R. Ewing would drive.
All right, we're stretching.
J.R. Ewing was this guy.
It was a show.
We still got 11. It's okay.
I was proud of the gladiator reference, and she looked at me confused, and I was like, "Fuck."
Dallas, where are you from?
I'm from Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. You're from here?
Born and raised.
Perfect. Lean in a little bit. Just
Let's bring that
I
mic
know
to
you
you.
can't hear.
Okay, second generation, born in local native, whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, perfect. That's and then you are.
My name is Brittany.
Hi, Brittany.
I'm not from Vegas. I'm
Where are you from?
California. I'm very happy to be.
BC, give her a little mic help.
How long have you been here?
I've been here for a year, but I've been here on and off. So I've lived out here several times. I just decided to move back.
Okay, and what do you do? What do you do?
I am a mom. I model on the side for a living, and I stay at home mom.
Girls, you guys
take
had
care.
kids.
I
None
know.
of you look like you had kids.
Yeah, I had a micro preemie, so I had a little 1 pound 8
Oh,
ounce.
good
Oh wow!
Yeah.
How old?
She's a year and a half now.
Oh my gosh!
She's a big chunky thing.
Congratulations, glad you made
That's
it.
awesome. Yeah, so a pound of 8. That's not right.
Yeah,
It's like a
so
kidney
it's like
stone.
chicken
You're-
wings. So small. My mom, she always tells me, "Oh, you were like a dog in heat when you were pregnant."
No, that's how you got pregnant.
Yeah, basically. Yeah.
I was creepy. I didn't hear. I didn't know you were coming in from behind, and that's how you got pregnant.
It was a long ass walk to the mic.
Marie, what do you do?
Very Tracy Morgan
I
of you.
actually work for myself. I make jewelry. I read tarot cards. I'm a local artist. I do a
Oh,
little bit of
that's
everything.
awesome. What kind of jewelry?
God damn.
Crystal jewelry, like the different natural stones. And
Oh.
Do you have?
Have you met Kiki Maroon? Because you two are the busiest two women I have
yeah,
ever
let's
heard
get it,
of.
girl.
Right, viva la Mexico. Si se puede.
Viva wherever you're from.
That's great. Do you sell it online, or can people check it
Yeah,
out?
definitely. I do a couple of pop-up shops, like a month, 5 or 6. I do the First Friday event.
Go ahead and drop your website out there, girl.
Yeah, thank you, Mystic Herb Shop. I'm on Etsy, Facebook, Instagram.
Do you have your tarot cards with you?
I don't. That would have been great.
Damn.
man.
We gotta find some. We have
There's gotta be something
hours
like
of programming to kill, and
gas
while you're not
station
being painted,
downstairs. Yes.
someone sells them down here. I want my tarot read.
Where the store we got the liquor store downstairs.
Just call up somebody at the shop and tell them to drop off a pair.
Follow that shit. What do you do?
I'm a go-go dancer.
All right.
Oh,
You just
yeah?
beat that shit.
Lean in a little closer. I know
Yeah,
You don't have to lean in. You can pull it to you.
Yeah,
It's
it basically has to be almost touching your mouth.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's
Well, you got to go directly center. Those are not.
Seriously.
We're like giving you awkward directions for something totally different. Same rules apply.
Oh, yeah, we had a girl. One of the girls in here earlier was a go-go dancer, fire eater,
Yeah.
and stuff like that. I don't know if you guys have worked
I
together.
can't
by
eat
chance.
fire. Yeah,
No?
my sister can fly trapeze. That's what she does.
Oh, that's
Wow, that's really cool.
Love it.
So, you never ask a lady this, but I have to ask. How old are you?
Yeah.
25.
You look 12.
Legal enough to
I
be
thought you
here,
were like
Sam.
20, maybe.
You're
you
fucking.
look,
You look 12.
Yeah,
and
I
I
was gonna
just.
say 20.
It's the girlish smile, I think.
And the voice. The voice is very, very light and very.
Well, you know what?
Hi, I'm Dallas.
Like, you got to realize I had to receive all these pictures and go, is this person an adult? Like, we have another girl that's coming up later. She looks like a small child. Like, can you fill out paperwork and make sure you're an
Let's
adult?
not talk about that. That's
No.
weird.
But, like, she looks very young. Like, I had to scour Facebook
She looks
and
like
go,
a young, beautiful woman.
all right, you're an adult. Okay, you're an adult. Like, both of them had very young looks, and you go,
But I said yes anyway, so get over here.
Second, it was
Let
legal.
Daddy paint you.
If it's legal, I'll paint it.
I like that.
Wow.
That's so. You ladies are going to get painted, I guess, in the second round. It's Dice is he's working against the clock now. We're now moving into. We're getting ready to move into hour number 8, which means that there are only 4 hours left. We've been at this for 7 hours and 53 minutes. We have been blessed with the music of Brian B.C. Carrion, who is still not out of music to play. Sam Damaris has told so many stories. Kiki Maroon is here, burlesque and comedy, and so many other flexible muscles.
Woman. That's her title.
What?
That's her
Choking
title.
on it.
Business woman.
Yeah. Creative artist.
Victoria
Web designer.
Page,
Entrepreneur.
Promoter.
a model and a cosplayer and an actress, and so many different women have come through. This is it's a very cool environment to be a part of. So it's digging into y'all's personalities and
Yeah, saying this is a really creative group.
it's we try. We're sober right now.
You almost got
2
bashful. Like,
hours.
It becomes chaos. In a
And
little
still rocking it, bitches. And so all of that happening, of course, paintedvegas.com is where all of this is going to end up ultimately if you're not watching it live as we speak. At Painted Vegas on Twitter and Instagram.
Yep.
Victoria's working. There's so many different posts going up, and
And
I'm
if you're
watching
watching it live, you should tweet us. Give us stuff to talk about, man.
Yeah, please.
Yeah,
Let us know you're watching.
Any of
we
us
got 19
individually.
vision boards of topics, though.
I think we need the link,
I'm trying
right?
to make it interactive with people watching.
If you go to YouTube, I'm sorry.
Oh, no, I was just
No,
fucking with him.
We're busting each other.
If there is, if you can kind of tweet at us, and then we'll all retweet to send the live link out if we can.
Yeah, that one I
you can
tweeted you still
tweet-
is live.
Okay.
Yeah, you can tweet to Painted Vegas. You can find Painted Vegas on Snapchat. You can go to YouTube and look up Painted Vegas 2016. We're live right now. And then if you follow any of us individually on Instagram or anything, give us a shout out. Let us know what you want to see.
Right? We got hours of content still to fill, and the cameras are on, and I love that this is. I'm so used to the audio medium only when we're doing the podcast.
Completely about the shit.
I know, which makes me think that we need to put these in the Banco Popular studios back at home and sort of do a live feed. I think it would be. It's an incredible turn, and we should look at it.
Well, we talked about periscoping them.
Periscope's good.
Well, yeah, Periscope, I think, and Facebook Live.
But I think just throwing it on. I've been doing so if you guys want to check it out later, you'll be in it. I have my diary. So every week I go somewhere else and do something different. I make a little compilation diary thing. And I've been putting them on YouTube and stuff. And I think we can put some Whiskey Brothers stuff on YouTube.
She takes amazing photos for her diary.
Dear diary.
Kiki's diary.
No, it's just my phone. I'm just.
Well, what else can you do? Because we can work together. You know what I'm saying?
See, I love this collaboration.
You're a boss, babe. So I feel that.
I don't know if we're
Tutu really is.
Why don't you two tell me more about your collaboration on video? I'm in. If this was Shark Tank, I'm sold. I don't need to hear anything else.
Mustache
I got $10 for 90% of the. I got $10 and a half-eaten bag of Skittles and some jelly in a jar for 95%.
By the way, I'm eating this jelly donut I got downstairs, which is delicious.
That? It looks amazing.
It's like a strawberry flaky delicious thing. But the strawberry keeps going in my nose when we're talking.
It gets in the bloodstream quicker.
Oh,
yeah, that's the way to do it.
That's why I'm waking back
up. We all got scientifically said, "Yo, no, that totally works."
It's good.
Put it under your tongue. That's
Hold it for 3 seconds. You're good.
Just put it on a tampon, right? Is that how they do it now?
Yes, that is. And then you shove it right up your butt. I'm not sure how this works.
I'm just gonna say I don't get that.
Has anybody
done
done
that?
that?
Alcoholic for a long
because
time.
they died.
But I don't. You can get drunk fast without shoving something in your butt.
Yeah.
But no,
the butt chug.
Yeah, I don't get it.
No.
There's a dominatrix in prison. She killed a man.
Oh, because it was faster than the body could process it, right?
But because they do it. It's
how
champagne
much
and
alcohol can a tampon hold?
But no.
But they put the bottle in the butt.
Every girl was just like, "You have no idea what those things hold." That's like
Dominatrix do a champagne enema, and you're supposed to do it with split. This bitch got a big fucking bottle, shot a bottle of champagne up this guy's ass, and he died.
So it was pressure, not alcohol poisoning.
Oh, yeah, you got to take the cork out first.
I don't know if the alcohol is what did it or the pressure, but either way, the bottle was too fucking big.
Perforated his lower intestine, I think, with the.
He died. They called it murder. She's locked up.
Between the cheeks, they call it murder.
Up in these cheeks, they call it murder.
Perfect.
I can't find anything that rhymes with jam rock. I'd finish the song. We have so much to get to. We got to dip into hour 8. We got to move on to 9, 10, 11, and 12 as Painted Vegas.
We got 5 of us left.
Continues. God, I don't do math. 5 hours to go. Sweet baby Jane. Sladeham, Sam Damaris, Kiki Maroon, Victoria Page, Dice on the paint, and so many different women that are being painted as we move along. Stick around. Don't go anywhere. Painted Vegas continues.
5 hours remaining.